congratulations, first
thanks.
of all, on an incredible story. And a story that, if I'm right, is kind of your story. How much of it is your story?
Um, yeah, too much. Yeah. I mean, I was a jazz drummer in a sort of competitive uh, ensemble. In my case, it was high school, but it was sort of a special kind of high school program that was modeled after sort of conservatory programs, and with a very sort of tough teacher and a very kind of cutthroat sort of atmosphere. So I just remember, I guess to me, if the movie was about anything, it was about the sort of fear that you feel as a musician in that circumstance, and how antithetical that seems to art. You know, that you think of art, and especially jazz, as something that should be freeing and liberating, and something where you're kind of communicating emotionally with people, and then it turns into it, but at the level of education, at the level of sort of raw honing of technique, before you can access, sort of before you can be able to improvise, before you can be able to do a lot of the things that we more normally associate with jazz, there is this element of utter rigor and utter discipline and almost military hardship that I just don't think we kind of know enough about or see enough about in movies about musicians. I think there's this idea that you kind of roll out of bed and and suddenly you're kind of improvising great solos, and I don't think we see enough movies about practice. So that sort of aspect of it, and the sort of fear that comes from not mastering that kind of technique, is what I kind of wanted to hone in on.
You mentioned the word fear there, and the gentleman sat next to you injects fear quite brilliantly. Congratulations. I mean, Fletcher, what a character. What do you think drives him? What's his drive?
Passion and for the music, and utter perfectionism, and complete single-mindedness of pursuit of that goal. Human collateral damage notwithstanding.
In terms of kind of preparing for the role, what did that involve for you? Did you kind of seek out, those types of individuals who are driven by that perfection in a teaching stance, or?
Honestly, the preparation that I had to do for the role was just learning the music. As far as playing the character, it was all there on the page, and I didn't feel the need to look outside of what Damien had written, and what was in me to pull it off the page for any kind of inspiration, and then just sort of hit the deck running with this guy, and we
Miles.
Oh yeah.
It's okay. There, yeah.
And we did our thing.
And Miles, you drummed from the age of 15 as well, which stood you in good stead, but you had to learn a whole other discipline for this.
Yeah, I played drums since I was like 15. And my family, both me and my older sisters, we all kind of played instruments. I started with piano, and then I actually played saxophone in jazz band in middle school and high school. That was kind of any knowledge I had of jazz music was just playing alto saxophone, and I only played that up until sophomore year, and then I started playing baseball, other stuff. But yeah, with drumming, I drummed in some rock bands. I just asked for a drum kit when I was like 15. My parents were kind enough to buy me one, and I just started playing with my buddies who played guitar kind of, and we covered like Green Day and stuff like that, and but I've always taken my drum kit with me, but I'd never taken any kind of lessons for it. So it was a whole, it was great. When I was first starting to get these lessons, it was one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, that's so much easier to do it that way. I've been doing it this other way. It's that's wrong, and so I just started taking jazz lessons like 4 hours a day, 3 days a week, with Damien kind of at first, and then the kid who plays Carl in the film is this guy Nathan Lang, and he's a very good drummer, and so he was kind of my teacher, and just teaching me the traditional kind of jazz playing and how to hold this stick, and it was very basic at first, literally like this is how you hold the stick and this is how you hit the snare drum.
Starting again.
And even that is like just this motion right here. Damien would have me practicing this. just for hours on
You
my
doing that,
thigh.
and then J.K. doing that. It's kind of like the
boom.
ooh, that's the ooh, fear of God shoots through
Yeah.
me when he does.
Yeah.
And am I right in thinking as well that with the practice scenes that you were filming, that Damien wouldn't shout cut on it? He would kind of almost keep you going until you kind of reach that point of exhaustion.
Yeah, I guess that's a question for Damien. Really? Yeah.
Yeah.
Makes me sound so tyrannical. No, I think that's just one scene that we're talking that
Okay.
Miles likes to give me grief for. It is true though. I mean, we shot the movie so quickly that when you kind of, I mean, when you look at Miles on screen, it's he's not sort of acting exhausted. I mean, there's real sort of exhaustion that maybe was the one weird benefit of having such a kind of such a tight schedule and such an unrealistic schedule in a way.
Time to get this out there. 19 days for the whole shoot.
Wow. Did that help? Sorry, I will get to your questions in just one second. Did that help? Do you think that kind of added something to the intensity of the film?
I mean, I think the only way it maybe helped was, again, with that kind of emotionality. That said, I think, you can always use more time. And certainly Miles and J.K. are both good enough actors that they don't need to not sleep to act sleepy, so it's
To future directors out there, that's not true.